What if I told you the key to understanding the universe, mastering your reality, and unlocking your highest potential has been hidden in plain sight for centuries, woven into the fabric of time, and reflected across diverse civilizations? Throughout history, intrepid seekers of truth have stumbled upon fragments of this profound knowledge, yet only a select few have truly grasped its transformative power. These are not trendy, fleeting notions, but enduring ancient principles meticulously encoded within Hermetic philosophy, waiting to be rediscovered by those willing to perceive the world through a new, illuminated lens. The 7 Hermetic laws are far more than just abstract intellectual concepts. They are the fundamental building blocks of existence itself. They profoundly shape every facet of your perception, sensation, and experience. More importantly, they hold the long-sought secret to unlocking your own boundless, untapped potential. This is the ultimate blueprint for living a life of purpose, power, and profound fulfillment. Once you truly understand and embody these laws, you'll never look at the world or yourself in the same way again. Stay with me on this journey, and together we'll unearth these universal truths in a way that resonates deeply within your soul, igniting a spark of recognition and remembrance. The universe is fundamentally mental, not in a metaphorical sense, but in a literal, tangible way. The first Hermetic law, the principle of mentalism, unveils a groundbreaking truth that mystics, philosophers, and now even quantum physicists have alluded to for millennia. The all is mind, the universe is mental. Everything you see, everything you touch, and everything you experience in any form originates as a thought, an idea, a spark of consciousness. Reality, therefore, is not a fixed, objective entity, but a dynamic projection of consciousness. Your mind is not simply a passive observer or a mere passenger in this grand cosmic play. It is the architect, the builder, the prime mover. Think about it for a moment. Every groundbreaking invention, every breathtaking work of art, every sweeping revolution in history began as a single, powerful idea held in the mind of an individual. Thoughts, therefore, are the invisible yet incredibly strong threads that weave the very fabric of reality. However, this principle is not confined to grand, world-altering ideas or innovations. It applies with equal force to every single moment of your daily life. What you consistently think, you consciously and unconsciously become. Your core beliefs, your dominant emotions, and your unwavering mental focus all shape the circumstances that unfold around you. This is not simply abstract philosophy. Mounting evidence from the cutting edge of science supports it. Quantum physics, for instance, increasingly suggests that the very act of observation influences the behavior of subatomic particles, implying that consciousness itself actively interacts with and shapes the material world. The universe does not simply exist independently of you. It actively responds to the unique energy signature of your thoughts and deeply held beliefs. This realization means that you possess far more power and agency than you've likely been led to believe. Imagine your mind as a powerful lens. When that lens is clouded with persistent doubt, crippling fear, or overwhelming negativity, the world around you inevitably reflects that haze, distorting your perception and limiting your possibilities. However, when that lens is crystal clear, laser-focused, and filled with unwavering intention and purpose, your reality transforms in profound and demonstrable ways. This is the very essence of the principle of mentalism. Consciously align your mental state with your desired outcomes, and you'll begin to directly influence the reality you experience, sculpting it to align with your deepest aspirations. Here's where the pivotal shift begins to occur. Begin by diligently observing your thoughts, feelings, and reactions. Most of us unconsciously navigate through life largely unaware of the constant, often self-sabotaging mental chatter that powerfully shapes our actions and determines our results. What limiting stories do you habitually tell yourself about your inherent capabilities? What deeply ingrained inherited beliefs from your family, society, or past experiences are silently hindering your true potential? Cultivating awareness is the foundational first step toward true mastery. But understanding this principle requires far more than mere intellectual agreement. It demands consistent, dedicated practice. Visualization, affirmations, and mindfulness are powerful tools to deliberately harness the immense power of this law. Regularly picture your desired goals and outcomes as if they are already fully achieved and tangibly real. Speak your deepest desires into tangible existence with unshakable conviction and unwavering belief. consciously train your mind to focus not on what you fear or lack, but on what you passionately want to create and experience in your life. Some truths, however, delve even deeper than what we can safely and responsibly share within this public forum, for certain insights are simply too profound and potentially disruptive for a general audience on this platform. This is why we invite you to join our exclusive and completely free newsletter, The Insights Academy. You'll not only gain access to exclusive, transformative knowledge and advanced techniques, but you'll also receive a complimentary digital copy of the Timeless Kybalion to further explore these ancient and powerful principles at your own pace. You can find the secure link in the description below. This is your unique chance to uncover the hidden wisdom that many others will simply never be able to access. Mentalism is the crucial cornerstone of the 7 Hermetic laws precisely because it unequivocally reveals the seemingly infinite creative potential that resides dormant within each and every one of us. Once you truly understand that reality is not fixed, immutable, or set in stone, but rather fluid, dynamic, and consciously shaped by your own consciousness, the world effectively becomes a boundless playground for profound and lasting transformation. Every thought, every idea, every intention is a seed waiting to be planted and nurtured. Every belief is a meticulously crafted blueprint. The fundamental question you must ask yourself is this: what will you consciously choose to build? As above, so below, as below, so above. With these simple yet profoundly resonant words, the principle of correspondence invites us to recognize the intricate interconnectedness of all things, revealing the stunning unity that underlies apparent diversity. This powerful law tells us that the patterns that govern the vast expanse of the cosmos are elegantly mirrored in the smallest, seemingly insignificant elements of our daily lives. The universe is not a random, chaotic jumble of disconnected phenomena, but rather a perfectly harmonious web of recurring structures and patterns, with every level of reality perfectly reflecting and embodying the whole. Think of the mesmerizing beauty and inherent elegance of fractals, those infinitely repeating geometric patterns so prevalent in both the world of mathematics and the wonders of nature. From the intricate network of veins in a single leaf to the awe-inspiring spirals of distant galaxies, these repeating designs are a testament to the fundamental principle of correspondence. The very same laws that govern the majestic dance of the celestial heavens also govern the movements and interactions of the tiniest subatomic particles. The microcosm and the macrocosm are not separate entities, but rather two inseparable facets of the same unified reality, each a perfect mirror of the other. But this principle extends far beyond simply appreciating the beautiful patterns that exist in nature. It's about deeply understanding how your inner world directly reflects and powerfully shapes your external reality. Consider this profound truth. The relationships, opportunities, challenges, and circumstances that you encounter in your daily life often directly mirror the underlying state of your inner being. When chaos reigns within your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, it inevitably manifests externally as disorder, conflict, or stagnation in your outer world. Conversely, when your mind and spirit are intentionally aligned in harmonious balance, your outer world naturally reflects greater clarity, increased opportunity, and accelerated growth. Correspondence teaches us that by mastering the microcosm of our own thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can directly influence and positively transform the macrocosm of our overall reality. This principle also sheds illuminating light on the fundamental unity between the seemingly separate spiritual, mental, and physical realms. Just as the physical body requires consistent nourishment and attentive care to thrive, so too do the often neglected mind and spirit. Neglect any one aspect of your being, and the resulting imbalance will inevitably reverberate powerfully through all levels of your existence, disrupting your overall harmony and well-being. Profoundly understanding this fundamental interconnectedness empowers us to consciously create lasting harmony within ourselves, knowing that it will naturally ripple outward to positively transform the world around us. To see the principle of correspondence in action, simply look to the natural cycles of life. The rise and fall of entire civilizations throughout history elegantly mirror the inherent growth and eventual decline of a single human life. The predictable patterns of day and night subtly echo the waxing and waning of our own personal energy levels. Even seemingly random emotions have distinct corresponding external counterparts. Moments of profound joy invariably correspond to heightened clarity, just as periods of deep despair often directly align with mental confusion and uncertainty. These recurring patterns are not random, arbitrary, or accidental. They are part of a larger map of the universe, providing invaluable guidance as we consciously strive to find balance, harmony, and lasting alignment in our lives. Practically applying this profound principle means consciously becoming a keen and attentive observer of both your inner and outer worlds. Start small and practice consistently. Notice the subtle yet powerful repeating patterns in your daily life. Are there recurring themes or persistent challenges in your most important relationships? What might these patterns be subtly reflecting about your own internal state of being? By consciously understanding the inherent correspondence between your inner and outer worlds, you gain the power to consciously rewrite your life story, creating a more fulfilling and meaningful reality. It also means consciously seeing the bigger picture in every situation. When facing seemingly insurmountable struggles, consistently ask yourself, what larger, more universal truth is this situation reflecting? What invaluable lesson does this seemingly difficult moment hold that elegantly echoes deeper, more pervasive universal patterns? By consciously shifting your perspective, you can gracefully navigate life's inevitable challenges with far greater clarity, resilience, and a profound sense of purpose. Correspondence serves as a powerful reminder that nothing truly exists in isolation. The world is not divided into separate, airtight compartments, but rather flows seamlessly from one interconnected realm to another. When you consciously align your own inner world with overarching universal principles, you tap into a profound harmony that effortlessly transcends the apparent chaos of the surface. You begin to consciously perceive the invisible yet incredibly strong strings that invisibly connect everything, ultimately understanding that nothing in life is truly separate from anything else. The principle of correspondence is a powerful invitation to deliberately harmonize with the elegant rhythms of the universe. By consciously mastering the seemingly small details, we can effectively master the greater complexities. By consciously observing the grandeur of the greater world, we can better master the intricacies of our own lives. The crucial question remains, will you consciously open your eyes to these pervasive patterns and intentionally align yourself with their inherent wisdom, or will you unconsciously allow them to dictate the direction of your life? Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. These simple yet incredibly profound words hold the essential key to understanding the invisible forces that constantly shape our ever-changing reality. The principle of vibration reveals a groundbreaking truth. Everything in the vast universe, from the densest and seemingly inert matter to the most elevated thought or transcendent emotion, is in a constant state of dynamic motion and perpetual flux. This ceaseless, never-ending vibration defines the very nature of existence, and by consciously mastering it, we can deliberately transform our lives in meaningful and lasting ways. Simply look around you. What appears solid, fixed, and unmoving is, at its very core, nothing more than an elegant and complex dance of vibrating particles. Modern science increasingly confirms this ancient Hermetic principle with ever greater precision. Atoms, the fundamental building blocks of all matter, are never truly at rest, even at absolute zero. Even the most seemingly stable and unchanging objects hum with a constant, albeit imperceptible, energy at the molecular level. But the principle of vibration is not limited to the physical world. It extends powerfully to your thoughts, emotions, and spiritual well-being, each of which carries a unique vibrational frequency that ultimately determines your overall state of being. Have you ever noticed how certain individuals seem to uplift you merely by being in their presence, while others seem to subtly drain your energy and enthusiasm? That's the principle of vibration actively at work. Every thought, every word you speak, and every emotion you experience emits a unique frequency that either resonates powerfully with others or repels them. Powerful emotions such as love, joy, and gratitude vibrate at significantly higher frequencies, while negative emotions such as anger, fear, and despair tend to dwell in lower vibrational ranges. The dominant energy that you consciously and unconsciously hold within yourself profoundly influences not only your overall mood, but also the specific circumstances you ultimately attract into your life. This is where the principle of vibration becomes an incredibly powerful tool for deliberate and lasting transformation. By consciously raising your vibration, you can deliberately align yourself with higher states of being and open yourself to a wider range of greater possibilities. Start by consciously examining the type of energy you consistently emit on a daily basis. What dominant emotions tend to characterize your inner world? What words do you habitually speak to yourself and to others? To consciously shift your vibration, you must begin with a deeper sense of self-awareness. There are practical steps you can consistently take that are both simple and incredibly powerful. Cultivating heartfelt gratitude is one of the most effective and immediately available ways to consistently raise your vibration. When you consistently focus your attention on what you're genuinely thankful for, you consciously shift your energy from a state of lack to one of abundance and possibility. Similarly, consciously performing acts of kindness, whether directed toward others or yourself, creates widening ripples of high-frequency energy that can positively impact your entire reality. Consistent meditation and regular mindfulness practices help quiet the distracting noise of lower vibrations, allowing greater clarity and inner peace to gradually emerge. But consciously raising your vibration isn't just about focusing on positive emotions, it's also about consistent, deliberate action. The choices you consistently make on a daily basis, what you choose to eat, how you choose to move your body, the type of media you choose to consume, all profoundly influence your overall vibrational state. Consciously surround yourself with uplifting environments and consistently interact with people who genuinely inspire growth and expansion. Consciously avoid sources of negativity that tend to drag your energy down, consciously choosing to protect your precious energy. Consciously think of your overall vibration as a delicate and precious garden. Intentionally nurture it with consistent care, and it will undoubtedly flourish. Understanding this principle also requires recognizing the inherent vibrational nature of persistent challenges. When life feels overwhelmingly heavy, it's often because we're subconsciously stuck in lower vibrational frequencies. These difficult moments aren't arbitrary punishments. They're actually valuable invitations to consciously shift your energy. Deliberately ask yourself, how can I consciously raise my energy in this specific situation? Sometimes the answer lies in something as simple as taking a deep, cleansing breath or taking a relaxing walk in nature. Other times it requires deeper, more introspective work, such as letting go of limiting beliefs or consciously processing unresolved pain. The principle of vibration reminds us that nothing is ever truly static. Even when life feels hopelessly stuck or stagnant, change is always possible. Just as a low musical note can gradually rise to a higher octave, so too can your personal energy consciously shift when you consistently take intentional action. The universe itself is nothing less than a grand symphony of vibrations, and you are an integral part of this magnificent composition. By embracing this empowering principle, you begin to see yourself not as a passive, helpless observer, but rather as an active participant in the vibrant vibrational dance of existence. Your personal energy powerfully shapes your reality, just as the universe's vast energy shapes the entire cosmos. So what dominant frequency will you consciously choose to consistently live at? Will you consciously allow the lower vibrations of fear and self-doubt to dictate the direction of your life, or will you intentionally rise above them, consciously aligning yourself with the transformative energies of love, unwavering purpose, and lasting harmony? The conscious choice, like the vibration itself, is always in a state of dynamic motion. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. The principle of polarity reveals a profound truth that is as inherently empowering as it is potentially challenging to accept. The seemingly conflicting dualities that we inevitably experience in our daily lives, love and hate, light and darkness, success and failure, are not truly separate forces locked in eternal opposition, but rather different expressions of the very same underlying essence. Understanding this often misunderstood principle allows you to consciously master the transformative art of perspective, and to deliberately transform even the most difficult experiences into unprecedented opportunities for growth and lasting fulfillment. Think carefully about the fundamental relationship between heat and cold. They are not truly distinct and separate elements, but rather varying degrees of the same underlying energy. There is no clear, easily definable line where measurable warmth magically becomes coldness. It's a continuous gradient. The same elegant truth applies to human emotions. Love and hate, for example, might seem worlds apart, but they are actually located at opposite ends of the same dynamic spectrum. The intense potential for one emotion often directly reveals the latent potential for the other. This is the inherent beauty of the principle of polarity. It powerfully shows us that seemingly opposite qualities are inherently interconnected, and that true mastery comes from consciously navigating the nuanced space between them. In our daily lives, this principle plays out constantly. Consistently consider a past failure that once felt utterly devastating at the time. Over time, it may have actually become the unexpected catalyst for some of your greatest and most meaningful achievements. Failure and success are not truly separate paths. They are merely two ends of the same continuing journey. By consciously embracing this powerful truth, you gain the remarkable ability to deliberately shift your perspective and reframe challenging setbacks as potential opportunities. The principle of polarity also offers a valuable key to profound emotional alchemy. When you consciously find yourself stuck in the grip of anger, fear, or even despair, you possess the remarkable power to consciously shift to its direct opposite. This does not mean foolishly denying or actively suppressing negative emotions. It means consciously recognizing them as an integral part of a continuous spectrum and actively moving with deliberate intention toward a more elevated state. For example, intense frustration can be transformed into deep understanding, and crippling self-doubt can transform into unshakable confidence when you consciously shift your personal focus. This powerful principle consciously invites you to consciously look deeper at the inherent dualities in your own life. What specific areas in your life currently feel out of balance? Where are you consciously clinging to one pole of an experience while actively resisting the equal potential of the other? True balance is not about eliminating one side of an experience, but about deliberately harmonizing both aspects. An individual who consciously suppresses sadness will inevitably struggle to fully experience the profound depths of genuine joy. Likewise, consistently avoiding any possibility of failure can stunt your personal growth and severely limit your potential for long-term success. True mastery and lasting fulfillment come from consciously embracing the entire spectrum of human experience. Take human relationships, for instance. The same deep connection that brings immense joy and overflowing love can also evoke feelings of painful frustration or hurt. But these seemingly opposite feelings aren't an inherent flaw. They're actually a perfectly natural and unavoidable part of human connection. By consciously accepting both poles of the relationship spectrum, you can consciously navigate human relationships with far greater compassion, understanding, and lasting connection. The conscious ability to see inherent unity in seeming opposites is what deliberately transforms conflict into effortless harmony. Polarity also governs our very thoughts. The specific way you choose to consciously think about a particular situation will directly determine how you consciously experience it. A seemingly insurmountable setback can either consciously feel like the complete end of the world or the exciting beginning of a brand new chapter, depending entirely on your consciously chosen perspective. By consciously choosing to deliberately shift your mindset, you can deliberately move along the continuous spectrum from crippling disempowerment to soaring empowerment. One of the most truly transformative aspects of this profound principle is its deliberate application to consistent self-growth. Many of us tend to view our perceived flaws and our perceived strengths as entirely separate entities, but they are, in reality, simply two sides of the same coin. The very vulnerability that consciously makes you so incredibly sensitive is also the very root of your innate empathy and compassion. The consistent fear that consciously holds you back from greatness can also consciously become the vital fuel for unstoppable courage. By consciously integrating your seeming opposites, you consciously become a truly whole and fully realized individual. Consciously applying the principle of polarity isn't about magically erasing the extremes of human experience. It's about consciously finding fluidity and graceful movement between them. When life inevitably feels consciously stuck in negativity, consistently remember that the opposite and equally powerful pole is always consciously available to you. The seemingly darkest night always holds the potential for the brilliant dawn. The most crushing heartbreak contains the potent seeds of abundant new love. Consciously recognizing this powerful interconnectedness allows you to consciously navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with remarkable grace and resilience. Polarity is not a force to resist, but a valuable tool to deliberately embrace. It powerfully teaches us that life's inherent opposites are not our enemies, but our allies, continuously pushing us towards sustainable balance and consistent growth. The question is not whether opposites consciously exist in the first place, but rather how you consciously choose to navigate them in your own life. Will you consciously let the opposing poles carelessly pull you apart? Or will you consciously choose to deliberately find consistent harmony within their constant, ever-evolving dance? Everything flows out and in, everything has its tides. The principle of rhythm serves as a powerful reminder that life is a never-ending dance of constant motion, a perpetual ebb and flow. Nothing remains stagnant for long. From the predictable cycles of the natural world to the gradual rise and eventual fall of entire civilizations, rhythm powerfully governs all aspects of existence. It is the universal law of constant change, and consciously understanding it can significantly help you gracefully navigate life's inevitable highs and lows with greater wisdom, resilience, and lasting peace. Simply look around and you'll inevitably see rhythmic patterns virtually everywhere you focus your attention. The life-giving sun predictably rises and sets each day. The seasons consistently shift from one to the next in a predictable, comforting flow. Even your own body consciously obeys this powerful law. Your constant heartbeat, your steady breath, and your regular sleep cycles are all gracefully governed by these natural rhythms. But rhythm gracefully extends far beyond the physical world. It powerfully influences your complex emotions, human relationships, and ongoing personal growth. No joy lasts forever, but neither does any deep sorrow. Life is essentially a series of powerful tides flowing predictably in and out, consciously offering you a consistent opportunity to reset, recharge, and recalibrate your direction. Have you ever consciously felt like life was conspiring against you, where nothing seemed to go right and everything seemed to consistently go wrong all at once? Or perhaps you've gratefully experienced an extended period where everything felt effortless, enjoyable, and perfectly aligned. These moments are not random, accidental, or arbitrary. They are simply an integral part of the perfectly natural rhythms of existence. The universe operates in predictable cycles, and your own personal life is no exception. Once you deeply understand this important principle, you can consciously stop resisting consistent change and instead learn to gracefully ride its predictable waves. Actively resisting the natural flow of rhythm often leads to unnecessary pain and suffering. When we consciously cling to a particular moment, whether it's a soaring high we desperately don't want to lose or a painful low we urgently want to escape from, we inevitably create unnecessary tension, anxiety, and internal conflict. But consistent rhythm is inevitable. Just as the ocean's powerful tides cannot be forcibly held back, neither can the natural cycles of your own personal life. The powerful secret to greater peace and lasting fulfillment lies in consciously learning to gracefully move with the constant rhythm rather than struggling fruitlessly against it. This profound principle also offers invaluable insights into personal growth and long-term fulfillment. Consistently consider how personal progress often consciously feels cyclical rather than strictly linear. You consciously take 2 steps forward, only to later feel like you've consciously taken 1 painful step back. But this is not failure, it's rhythm. Real growth comes in predictable waves. Even when it consciously feels like you're consciously regressing, you're still an essential part of a much larger flow, gracefully preparing for the next significant surge forward. To deliberately align with the principle of rhythm, consistently start by consciously observing it in your own personal life. Consciously pay close attention to your consistent energy levels, evolving emotions, and consistent productivity throughout the course of the day, the week, or even the month. Are there consistent patterns to when you consciously feel most inspired or most drained? Consciously recognizing these natural rhythms allows you to consciously work with them more effectively rather than forcibly struggling against them. For instance, if you consciously know you're consistently most creative and energized in the morning, prioritize your most demanding work during that consistently productive time. When you consciously feel a natural lull in your consistent energy levels, consciously give yourself conscious permission to deliberately rest and fully recharge instead of foolishly attempting to consistently push through. The principle of rhythm also consciously applies to human relationships. Every meaningful connection consciously has its own unique flow, with predictable moments of intense closeness and equally predictable periods of inevitable distance. Instead of foolishly fearing the natural ebb in a relationship, consciously recognize it as a valuable opportunity to deliberately reflect and consciously recalibrate your personal direction. Just as the ocean's tide must consciously go out before it can naturally come in again, periods of inevitable distance often naturally precede ever deeper levels of lasting intimacy. This empowering principle is not about mindless passivity. It's about conscious adaptability. When you consciously recognize the consistent rhythm of life, you can consciously prepare for its inevitable shifts. For example, during particularly challenging times, consciously remind yourself that the pendulum will inevitably swing back in your favor. During deeply fulfilling moments of soaring joy, consciously savor them fully, consciously knowing they are particularly precious because of their inherent impermanence. Rhythm consciously teaches us to consistently appreciate life's conscious, fleeting beauty while gracefully staying consistently grounded in the undeniable certainty of constant change. It's also a valuable guide for cultivating consistent resilience. When the constant pendulum consciously swings into times of difficulty, rather than foolishly resisting it, consciously ask yourself, what valuable lesson is this challenging cycle consciously offering me? What new personal strength can I consciously cultivate during this temporary time? Every difficult downturn consciously holds the potential for significant growth, just as every high tide consciously enriches the surrounding shore. By consciously embracing this powerful perspective, you consciously become far less reactive to life's inevitable fluctuations and far more attuned to its underlying flow. The principle of rhythm powerfully invites you to deliberately stop foolishly fighting the inevitable tides and instead consciously start gracefully flowing with them. Life is not a rigidly straight line, but rather a predictable series of gentle waves. By consciously aligning with this natural rhythm, you can deliberately find consistent peace in the process and inherent strength in the cycles. So the next time you consciously feel hopelessly stuck or overwhelmingly stressed, consciously remember this. Every consistent tide inevitably recedes, but it inevitably returns again. Will you continue to consistently resist the natural rhythm of life, or will you finally choose to gracefully move with it? Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. The principle of cause and effect reveals one of the most profound and transformative truths about existence. Nothing happens by mere chance. Every action, thought, and decision you consciously make inevitably sends subtle ripples throughout the entire universe, powerfully shaping not only your present reality but also your long-term future. This fundamental law serves as a potent reminder that we are both the deliberate creators and the conscious participants in the intricate and ever-evolving web of life, consistently influencing and being powerfully influenced by the myriad forces that surround us. Simply look at your own personal life for a moment. Have you ever consciously felt like certain challenges or negative patterns consistently keep repeating themselves? Perhaps you consciously find yourself drawn again and again to the same specific types of human relationships, career paths, or seemingly unavoidable conflicts. This is not mere coincidence or sheer bad luck. It's simply a clear illustration of cause and effect elegantly in action. The specific choices you've consciously made, whether deliberately or unconsciously, have led you directly to your current circumstances. But far from being a consistent source of needless blame or regret, this valuable realization is actually the crucial key to lasting empowerment. If you've consciously created your current circumstances, you inevitably have the conscious power to create entirely new and more fulfilling ones. Consistently consider the smallest and seemingly most insignificant moments of your daily routine. When you consciously smile at a perfect stranger, you inevitably brighten their mood, and they, in turn, might consciously pass that uplifting positivity onto someone else. Conversely, a harsh word carelessly spoken or a thoughtless action consciously taken can consciously trigger a negative chain reaction with potentially far-reaching consequences. These seemingly minor everyday interactions are living proof of the profound power of cause and effect consistently in action. And while the full outcomes of larger and more significant decisions, deliberately changing careers, consciously moving to a new city, or consciously beginning a new relationship, may naturally take time to fully unfold, they are nonetheless elegantly governed by the same unwavering principle. But the principle of cause and effect is not merely limited to the external world. It consistently operates just as powerfully within your internal landscape. Your persistent thoughts are the direct causes of your resulting emotions, and your powerful emotions directly drive your ensuing actions. Negative self-talk consistently leads to deep self-doubt, which in turn directly influences your consistent ability to take bold risks or to passionately pursue your carefully chosen goals. On the other hand, consistently cultivating empowering beliefs deliberately sets off a powerful chain reaction that propels you steadily toward ever greater success. By fully understanding this profound principle, you can consciously become the deliberate architect of both your inner and outer worlds. This often misunderstood law also deliberately reminds us of the vital interplay between personal responsibility and genuine freedom. While it's often tempting to conveniently blame external forces for our inevitable struggles, the principle of cause and effect consistently challenges us to consciously look inward first. What specific role have we consistently played in consciously shaping our current circumstances? What ingrained patterns of thought, behavior, or beliefs have subtly led to our current perceived reality? Consciously, taking conscious responsibility does not mean deliberately taking on feelings of unnecessary guilt. It means consciously reclaiming your inherent power to deliberately change your personal narrative. In practical terms, deliberately mastering the principle of cause and effect begins with consistent mindfulness. Start by deliberately observing the consistent choices you consciously make each day. Are your actions consistently aligned with your consciously chosen goals? Are your consistent thoughts actively supporting the kind of life you are consciously choosing to deliberately create? By consciously becoming ever more aware of the consistent causes you are deliberately setting into motion, you can begin to deliberately steer the ensuing outcomes with greater intention. For example, if you deliberately want more fulfilling human relationships, deliberately focus on consistently being more present and more empathetic in your consistent interactions with others. If you deliberately desire greater success in your professional career, deliberately cultivate consistent habits that consistently align with your overarching vision. The resulting effects may not be immediate or obvious, but they are ultimately inevitable. This fundamental principle also consciously teaches us the vital importance of developing sustainable patience. Just as consciously planting a seed does not magically yield a fully grown tree overnight, the lasting effects of your deliberate actions often consciously take time to fully manifest. Consciously trust the process. The consistent effort you deliberately put in today, whether it's consciously learning a brand new skill, deliberately healing past wounds, or consistently investing in your deepest dreams, will undoubtedly bear significant fruit in ways you may not yet be able to clearly see. Cause and effect consistently operates on the grand timescale of the universe, not merely on our own limited perception of linear time. It's also worth consistently noting that this fundamental principle consistently works regardless of your conscious awareness. Just as the force of gravity will consciously pull objects toward the ground whether you consciously believe in it or not, cause and effect is always consciously at play in your life. Consistently ignoring it doesn't somehow exempt you from its unwavering influence. It simply turns you into a passive and often unwitting participant in the evolution of your personal life. But when you deliberately align yourself with this fundamental law, you consciously step confidently into the powerful role of a conscious creator. Cause and effect also beautifully illuminates the far-reaching power of conscious choice. Every fleeting moment consciously offers you a valuable crossroads where you can deliberately decide the specific type of energy, conscious action, or potent thought you deliberately want to consistently put out into the world. These conscious choices may often consciously seem small and insignificant on their own, but they are undoubtedly cumulative, consciously shaping the long-term trajectory of your entire life. The critical question isn't whether you're deliberately creating a lasting impact. It's always what specific kind of overall impact you are consciously creating. When you consistently embrace this transformative principle, you fully realize that there is simply no such thing as randomness or even sheer coincidence. Everything in existence, from the seemingly smallest coincidence to the grandest and most meaningful achievement, unfolds deliberately according to the seeds you consciously planted. Life isn't simply happening blindly to you, it's consciously responding directly to you. The universe is not chaotic or random, but profoundly ordered and elegantly governed by reliable laws that consciously invite you to actively participate in the very act of creation. So, consciously ask yourself this important question. What specific causes are you deliberately setting into conscious motion right now? Are they consciously aligned with the conscious life you deliberately want to build? Or are they subconsciously reinforcing old, unhelpful patterns you are now deliberately ready to consciously leave consciously behind? The principle of cause and effect deliberately reminds us that we are never genuinely powerless. Every deliberate thought, carefully chosen word, and conscious action is always a potent opportunity to deliberately create the more fulfilling future you consciously desire. What will you consciously choose to deliberately create today? Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This profound Hermetic law is not about biological gender identity, but rather the elegant interplay of dual creative forces that exist in all aspects of life. The principle of gender reveals that everything in the vast universe contains both masculine and feminine energies, and that lasting harmony comes from consciously integrating these critical complementary forces. When these powerful energies are deliberately balanced, creativity flourishes, human relationships thrive, and lasting inner peace becomes fully attainable. Think of the potent masculine energy as focused action, deliberate concentration, and conscious initiation. The consistent energy that consciously drives us steadily forward, deliberately creates deliberate structure, and deliberately takes decisive action. The feminine energy, on the other hand, gracefully represents profound intuition, consistent nurturing, and deep receptivity. The flowing energy that consciously creates valuable space, deliberately fosters genuine connection, and consciously allows new ideas to naturally grow. Both are undeniably essential, and neither can consciously function optimally without the consistent presence of the other. Together they elegantly form the constantly evolving, dynamic interplay that consciously governs all creation. You can consciously see the profound principle of gender consciously at work everywhere you choose to consistently look. In nature, the potent seed, masculine, gracefully meets the nourishing soil, feminine, to deliberately create beautiful new life. In the realm of creative art, the firm structure of a deliberate painting, masculine, consciously combines with the spontaneous flow of natural creativity, feminine, to consciously produce remarkable beauty. Even in your ongoing personal growth, the firm masculine drive to consciously set valuable goals must be deliberately balanced by the feminine capacity to deliberately reflect and mindfully adapt. Without this critical conscious balance, life inevitably becomes either rigidly unyielding or hopelessly chaotic and directionless. This key principle also consciously operates powerfully within us regardless of our gender identity. Each of us consciously carries both the important masculine and feminine energies, and these dynamic energies consciously influence every integral aspect of our conscious lives. For example, when you deliberately assert yourself, consistently make valuable decisions, or deliberately take concrete action, you are consciously tapping directly into your innate masculine energy. When you mindfully listen deeply, consciously nurture important relationships, or consciously trust your own intuition, you are consciously drawing vital strength from your own feminine side. True mastery and lasting fulfillment consciously comes from consciously integrating these conscious energies, consciously allowing them to consciously work together synergistically rather than deliberately in direct opposition. But conscious balance does not consciously come naturally. It inevitably requires conscious awareness, consistent intention, and dedicated action. Many of us consciously lean far too heavily into one conscious energy while carelessly neglecting the equally vital other. In a modern world that often shamelessly glorifies consistent productivity and measurable achievement, the conscious masculine is frequently overemphasized, consciously leaving little space for the valuable feminine qualities of conscious rest, deeply rooted intuition, and conscious connection. On the other hand, some may become so deeply immersed in conscious reflection or untamed creativity, feminine energy, that they consistently struggle to deliberately take decisive action or even set consistent boundaries, masculine energy. Both extremes inevitably create disruptive imbalance. To deliberately integrate these potent energies, deliberately begin by consciously observing your own innate tendencies. Do you consistently push yourself to the point of utter exhaustion, carelessly ignoring the constant need to consciously rest and deliberately recharge? Or do you consistently hesitate to boldly act, overwhelmed by nagging uncertainty? Deliberately recognizing these powerful patterns is always the essential first step to consciously creating consistent harmony. The critical next step is to deliberately cultivate the vital energy you may be currently lacking. For instance, if you are consciously overly focused on relentless doing, masculine, deliberately practice simply being. Mindfully meditate, consciously spend valuable time in the natural world, or deliberately engage in meaningful creative pursuits. If you are consciously stuck in a constant cycle of anxious reflection or persistent indecision, feminine, deliberately set a perfectly clear goal and consciously take a small, concrete step consistently toward its ultimate achievement. This profound principle also applies powerfully to our important human relationships. The healthiest human connections are those where both the critical masculine and feminine energies are fully present and deliberately balanced. One partner's innate strength in decisive action gracefully complements the other partner's intrinsic strength in profound intuition, consciously creating a vibrant and dynamic partnership where both energies can consciously flourish and contribute. But it's also important to deliberately remember that conscious balance does not, by any means, mean sameness. Each unique person consciously brings their own individual blend of dynamic masculine and feminine energies to the relationship, and the conscious magic lies in how they consciously interact synergistically. On a broader scale, the life-affirming principle of gender deliberately reminds us of the remarkable creative potential inherent within us all. Whether it's consciously building a thriving business, deliberately writing a heartfelt book, or consciously nurturing a loving family, creation always consciously requires both the strong masculine energy of deliberate structure and the flowing feminine energy of natural inspiration. Without focused action, brilliant ideas remain merely unrealized dreams. Without valuable intuition, well-intended actions often consciously lack necessary depth. The harmonious union of these essential energies is what reliably transforms vast possibility into tangible reality. This valuable principle also elegantly offers a deep spiritual truth. The important masculine and feminine energies are not simply limited to unique human qualities. They are genuine cosmic forces. They exist in the elegant dance of the brilliant stars, the reliable cycles of the beautiful moon, and the dynamic balance of our precious Earth itself. By consciously aligning with these important energies, you consciously tap directly into the immense creative power of the vast universe. So how can you consciously begin deliberately integrating this valuable principle into your own personal life? Deliberately start small and consciously be patient with yourself if you are consciously feeling unbalanced. And so, as we draw this exploration of the 7 Hermetic principles to a close, remember this. The universe whispers profound truths in every moment, inviting us to awaken to our inherent power and potential. These laws aren't just abstract concepts, they're the very keys to unlocking a life of purpose, fulfillment, and deep connection. By understanding and embodying these principles, you become the conscious architect of your reality, sculpting a world that reflects your highest aspirations. We'd love to hear from you. What resonated most deeply with you in this exploration of the Hermetic laws? Do you have any questions, insights, or personal experiences you'd like to share? Leave a comment below. Let's continue this journey of discovery together. And if you found this content insightful and inspiring, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future explorations of timeless wisdom and transformative knowledge. Let's keep learning and growing together.